welcome along to the Project Cars 2 Virtual Racing League, where today we are joining our PS4 Championship as they continue their battles and adventures in the Ginetta Junior Championship that we're running here on PS4. We're at round 5 today. It's Monza. It's Oulton. We've had 4 rounds. The last one was Monza short, and if you have subscribed to the channel and saw that one, it was an absolute cracker. And if you haven't seen it, then I definitely recommend checking it out. It was unbelievable racing, although we did have a runaway winner in Stuart Davis, which claims his first win of this championship after 3 consecutive wins previously to that in Monte MC Momo, which gives him an 8-point lead in the championship standings now over Stuart in second. Very much a 2-horse race for the championship, but Alex Brown only 7 points behind second there in the third, lead in the midfield battle ahead of Del Boy, Welsh Taff and Dan Holloway. And then we have Pixie and Matt as well, having an excellent scrap there between the two of them. Pixie has got the better of Matt recently, so we'll see if Matt can fight back in that one. But it is also close all through the field, to be honest. And let's have a little look at Monza. Let's see what we missed if we didn't see it. Yeah, some funky tunes to go along with that as well. Thank you very much there to the director. But anyway, yes, let's look at qualifying for today. It's Stuart Davis carrying momentum forward from his win at Monza, who starts on pole position by nearly 4 tenths of a second ahead of Monte MC Momo Championship leader. Then we have the midfield battles. Dan Holloway claims third on the grid ahead of Del Boy. Alex Brown, third in the championship, starts 5th today ahead of Pixie. Welsh Taff behind Pixie for this one, down in 7th. And then Matt rounding out the order in 8th. A few seconds off the pace for Matt, but perhaps he's focusing on his race pace a little bit more, so we'll have to see how they get on here at Oulton today. Anyway, they're on the grid now, waiting for the lights to go out, and the revs are rising, and we're away here at round 5 at Oulton for the Ginetta Juniors in PS4, and it's Stuart Davis who gets now his trademark getaway in the orange car, heading down to turn 1, ahead of the field. Then we've got Monte MC Momo, Dan Holloway, Pixie up to 4th, and the yellow car is Dan on the grass there, and Pixie gets past him. Dan's out of control, he's spinning round and kicking up the dirt, and he's in the barriers somewhere there, I think. But Pixie now is up to 3rd, all over the back of Monte MC Momo, but Pixie's outbraked himself. Oh, I thought he was going to run into Monte there, and now this gives Del Boy a chance in 4th there to go on the attack in the blue car. Pixie holds his line on the inside, but he's lost all momentum, and it looks like Del Boy sweeps around the outside there to take 3rd away from him. So he's up into 3rd now as Del Boy. He's on a mission, so is Pixie though. And look at this now, Monty's all over the back of Stuart. Don't know if Stu's made a mistake or something, because he was quite a few car lengths ahead, but Monty is absolutely flying on this opening lap here after a slightly slower getaway than Stuart, off the grid it has to be said. Oh, and that's Pixie off in the foreground, I think. Yes, look, he's dropping down the order, bound to 5th now. Ahead of Matt still low. Dan Holloway has had a terrible start after that mistake, that spin on the opening lap, down to 7th and last place at the moment. So that's not worked for him at all, has it? And I've just noticed as we come up to round the first lap now, coming up to the end of the first lap, where is Alex Brown?
Yeah, not sure whether he missed the start or not. Looks like he did qualifying, but that's a disaster for him. He might have just disconnected. But close battle here between the front 3 with Stu with the smallest margin ahead of Monty, and Del Boy's really got some pace around this shortened Oulton track.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's nice and smooth as well on the steering application and the throttle by the looks of it, and it's a 3-way battle now for the lead. They're all pulling away by the looks of it now from Welsh Taff, who started down the order, it has to be said, but now is up to 4th there, very handy 4th. Matt as well has managed to get ahead of his nemesis in the championship, Pixie. So a good battle going on between those in the lower positions as well. But this is where the action's at right now. It's Stuart Davis, Monte MC Momo and Del Boy. Del Boy, of course, he's not really in the championship hunt at the moment at this stage of the championship, but he certainly would like to get past these two if he's got the pace to do it, because that would really elevate himself over his midfield rivals, wouldn't it? And these two have to kind of think about the championship a bit more, perhaps.
Yeah, especially Monty leading it, and he's got Del Boy looking as Stu clutters up the track with one of the signs. Monty's in that tricky position of does he attack or does he try to be cautious with Delboy behind you. Is I think just about the same pace as Stu's pulled away a bit there as we go to a replay. You'll see the start now. Welsh Taff getting a good start. He's looking on the inside of Welsh Taff. Delboy. He gets past him, so that's a great start for him, but a bit cautious and allows that to go through. But it might have been beneficial to see Dan there on the left just losing control after getting on the grass, and around he went.
Yeah, this is on board from Dan. Yeah, just look, he makes a bit of contact. He does with Monty, and then loses control. And Delboy in the blue car there. Look how close this was. This is really lucky from Delboy that he wasn't collected in this. Dan got a real tank slapper, didn't he? And then goes spinning in his own tyre smoke. Monza, he was really up there having a great fight. There was like 4 cars involved in the fight there, and Dan was having an excellent battle there. After a couple of races where he was a little bit ragged, it has to be said, and unfortunately he's had a ragged opening lap. But let's see how he gets on in the rest of it. This is Pixie now, Alex. What happens here? It just runs a bit wide, a bit of understeer maybe?
Yeah, it's understeer can really throw you off, and now this is going to be quite awkward now for him, especially coming into the braking zone. Just misses Monty there, but I was hoping to see the other incident where he goes off on the long right-hander, but hopefully we'll see that later as we come back to Matt now with his own battle with Pixie. Really close between these two, and they're quite close in the championship, I believe, as well. So Matt will be trying to keep him behind as much as he can.
Yeah, I thought Matt was going to do a Pixie there actually, and running wide, and Pixie's got a great run here on the inside, and he's got the inside line now for the next right-hander, and Matt knows he's there. He gives him plenty of space, and he's going to try the cutback, and they're heading up the hill here, but I think Pixie has taken that position quite aggressively there, but quite easily at the same time. I think Matt just didn't put up too much of a fight there, did he? He knew he was coming through, so he couldn't really do much about it at that stage after Pixie had the run on him. So now Matt really has to try and stick with him here, and try not to get dropped by him, because those two are really a close fight, aren't they, in the championship?
Yeah, there's a few drivers quite close. They'll be catching Alex now, as he's unfortunately not in this race now. But front three still about the same. There's no one really gaining or losing time. They all seem to have settled into a rhythm, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen, can't it, in races? We've seen it quite often, well, actually, not too often, but on occasion we have seen where a race just settles down and the drivers get stuck looking at each other and stuck at the same lap times, and it can easily happen when you're staring at the same car, but it has to be... We have to remember here, they have got mandatory pit stops, so hopefully this will break up the rhythm a little bit when one of them comes in and really shake things up a little bit. But of course, they're all driving to the limits, aren't they, Alex? And when they're driving to the limits, that's when mistakes can happen. At this really punishing Oulton Park circuit, with lots of variations in hill, like you can see that crest there, look, that they're going over there, and camber changes and some nasty curbs as well. Mistakes can always just be around the corner, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, especially under braking with how bumpy the track is. You see, go into the dip and back up over the crest. It's non-stop roller coaster ride, this track. It's obviously the shortest version. There's 2 other versions they could be doing, but it's the Foster's one really suits these little Ginetta Juniors, especially since they're not the most powerful thing, but they're nice and agile as we're on board with Stu. Nice clear view up ahead, so you can have a look at the park around him, but he won't be concentrating on that. He'll be trying to keep Monty behind him as he nicely goes into the 90-degree right there, second gear. No faults there. Just see how smooth he's driving at the moment. It looks like he's really calmed down with the car and getting on with things.
Yeah, now a replay of Pixie attacking Matt. Matt runs a little bit wide there. Like I said, he did a bit of a Pixie, and then that messes up his braking for this right-hander, and Pixie didn't need a second invitation there, did he? He was through like a ferret up a drain pipe, and through there up into 5th ahead of Matt. Fantastic stuff, and he is pulling away 4 seconds ahead of him now. But anyway, this is Dan. He's now caught Matt in the blue car, so let's see if Matt puts up a little bit more of a fight with Dan or not. Dan would be looking to try and get past as soon as he can, because you can see Pixie in that yellow car just disappearing over the top of the hill there under the bridge. So he has his targets lined up. There's a recovering Dan Holloway, Let's hope they're not actual targets and he actually manages to get past them rather than hitting them this time.
Yeah, Matt goes defensive then. That's very close between him and Dan. Dan had the better line. It's a bit odd for Matt to go defensive, as it's not really an overtaking corner unless you're really brave. Dan's having a cheeky look. Yeah, he's going to risk it. Matt gives him room. That's a good driving from him there. He didn't have to give him that room. He could have let him spin him and Dan would have had a penalty, you'd have to imagine. But he's kept him ahead, has put enough pressure on Dan, so he had to back out. But good little battle between these two here.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from Matt, it has to be said. He just knew where Dan Holloway was. Good spatial awareness and left just enough room. And Dan there running really over that curb. He's really pushing the limits of his green machine, trying to find a way past the blue striped and blue liveried Matt. And Matt runs a bit wide again here. Is he going to run wide in this bit? He does, but Dan finds his nose there and he gets through now on the inside, and Matt's seen him. And will Matt try and stick it around the outside here? I think he's going to try to, but it doesn't quite get enough speed around there. And now, they're side by side. And they're off. Oh no, that's Dan Holloway and Matt's in the wall there, and they're both recovering. I don't know, is that a racing incident there, Alex? What would you say?
Yeah, I think it's just a coming together. But those two cars definitely need a nose job now. That was a hefty impact. You see, Matt's car looks a bit confused now with the way that's looking. But racing.
It's a bit like the front of a Fiat 500.
Yeah, it's I think it's just racing. It's coming together, pushing hard, and it's quite easy to come together in these things. It just happens. As that's Welsh Taff in the pits.
Yeah, Welsh Taff relinquishes his 4th place temporarily to Pixie, or will it be temporarily? We'll have to see how it all pans out. But yeah, he's down to 5th now as he's coming out of the pit lane, and this is the green machine of Dan Holloway now coming over the start-finish line, down into turn 1. There he goes, barreling into turn 1 now, and Matt is under investigation for causing a collision. Is that with Dan Holloway? It must be, I think.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine so. As Matt also dived into the pits, so probably sees a bit of fresh air he can get and try and get some time as he now exits short pit lane. It's not the longest, but have to see if he gets a penalty. I have to imagine it'd be a bit harsh if he does, because he was around the outside and he is allowed to be there.
And it looks like they haven't fixed his nose, so yeah, I don't know. That won't affect him. It's only visual damage, isn't it? That's all. It's Stuart Davis. What's he doing? Doing a bit of rally cross there. What's he doing all the way out there?
Yeah, no, they do rally.
Race leader, and he's coming up to lap Matt by the looks of it, and taking a little cheeky rally cross route.
Yeah, and then they do rally eventually, but that's not the time and place at the moment. And that looks like Matt held up Stu a bit there, so that's allowing Monty to catch up too.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because Monty now getting past Matt up the hill just about. Yes, he has now, under the bridge, and you can see his rival for the championship just ahead of him. If they finish where they are now, of course, Stewart would close to within 6 points of Monty. Even though Monty won the first 3 races, Stewart would be 2 race wins in a row, and it's a 10-second time penalty for Matt for causing a collision. I have to say, in my opinion, that's a little bit harsh, that is, but we haven't seen all the angles of it, so we have to assume that the race stewards have seen something which they believe Matt was at fault at. But yeah, how would you assess that, Alex? Because in my opinion now, they were both still fighting for that position.
Yeah, I'd say they were still fighting. He's allowed to be there. That's very harsh, but like you said, they have different views to what we can see, so they might have seen he wasn't quite alongside as much as we thought it was, and it just spun down around. But yeah, it's really unfortunate for Matt there.
Yeah, because especially Pixie got through earlier as well on the inside there, and you can see Matt was trying to put up a bit more of a fight there, and I think they were very good at leaving each other room in previous corners, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, maybe we'll see another angle of it, who knows. But anyway, back with the live action now. This is Monty MC Momo on board with him, trying to chase the orange car of Stuart Davis. And here we are, just as we were speaking about it. Let's have a look. What do you reckon here then?
I don't think it's the right angle for it. They look just side by side and come together. That's racing instant as far as I say. This would be better. So Dan's just ahead. The car is ahead. He makes a slight error, so that allows Matt to go alongside, which he's allowed to do. I think they just wandered into each other really, because the steering wheel's straight. He is turning in, but he's trying to turn out with the slide. Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh, really.
Yeah, I would say so as well. But anyway, can't do anything about it now. He has to get on with it. He is about 20 seconds, is it? Yeah, 20 seconds already behind Dan. So Matt's in a bit of a race by himself at the moment, but you never know what can happen up ahead, of course. There are pit stops still to come as well, so we have to see how it all shakes out. But Monty here, we saw him praying on the back of Stewart on one of the opening races. I forget which one it was. It's the one with the really tight left-hand turn, and then you got a right-hander straight after it. I can't remember which one that was.
It's the one with the long name.
Oh, that's it. Osher something. Osher something. But anyway, yeah, so, and he was really praying, wasn't he, on Stewart that whole race, like he is now. And then in the very closing stages, he just pounced. And the thing with Monty, he is just so super consistent, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. A bit faster that lap than Stu as well. Looks like Stu is starting to get a bit ragged, as he is seeing Monty close up just slightly. It's not massive chunks, but they've definitely dropped Delvoye now. So it could be down to pit strategy. If Stu pits early, Monty might try to cut him, overcut him in the pit stop with a faster lap. But it's going to be quite tricky to see what happens, and time's dropping quite fast between Monty and Stu just then, so might be a mistake by Stu around this quite a tricky corner. Yeah, it's really dropping down.
Half a second at the moment, isn't it? And it's pretty much nothing here, and one mistake from Stu would put Monty in a very advantageous situation to make that passing manoeuvre. And you'd have to imagine if that happened, Stu would be straight in the pits to try and minimise the damage caused. But personally, if I was Monty here, I'd be pitting here and see if I can get a little bit clearer. How long is it for a pit stop here? He's 30 seconds or so ahead of Pick Z. He's got the pace over Pick Z as well. Probably won't get held up too much if he did come up behind him, but I don't think it would take 30 seconds, would it, for a pit stop here?
It depends what they... that's
Dan Holloway.
That's a big crash. That's front end off, so that's going to land Matt through. Is he going, or has he had a controller issue? Looks like a big crash for him.
Yes, I'm sure the driver is okay because it's only virtual. So unless he's maybe gone for a cup of tea, I don't know. But he's in the gravel trap with pretty much all of his car missing. So that's not good news, is it?
No.
It's not ideal.
But what is ideal here is Monty really closing up on the back of Stu. There's looks like an absolutely blistering corner there, and he's all over the back of him. So it definitely shows Monty catching up in the last third of the track compared to Stu, who pulls away in the first couple of sections.
Yeah, and he's all over the back of him, hunting Stu down now. Stu must be looking in his mirrors. He knows he's there, clearly. That big white car with the red pinstriping on it. The red's for warning, probably. And Stu's orange and black car there, the West Wales livery that we've so often seen from Stu Davis. But he is leading, and he did win the last championship, has to be said as well. If you've seen it, he won the Nissan Challenge with Monty in second, and Monty wants revenge in this championship. He really wants to take the fight here to Stewart and win this championship comfortably from him. And in order to do that, of course, he needs to finish ahead of him in the races, and he has been doing that, apart from in the last one. And he needs to do it here today. But what is the best thing? To pass him on track or pass him in the pits? That is the big question, Alex. And if you were Monty, what would you try and do?
He's definitely faster here. As you can see, he just drops the time. Stu's really pulled through there, so he might even just pass him on the track. And as Stu's going defensive early, Monty's brave. He'll either go for a cutback or around the outside. He's trying the outside, which is very brave. Yeah. Stu shuts the door on him. Luckily, there's plenty of runoff. But if they're battling this much for, say, a few more laps, he might pit, just get out of the way, because he's clearly faster at this point of the race.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And you have to refresh my memory, actually. What happened to Delvoye? Has he been in the pits? I can't remember. He can't be. He's only 9 seconds off.
I think he's just lost the slipstream.
Lost touch.
Yeah, he doesn't really have the pace of his front two, like a 1:15.5 that last lap. And these two, they were doing lower 1:13. It shows the tyres are going off, that they're now almost 114s.
Yeah, sorry, I had a senior moment. I forgot what happened to Delboy there. But anyway, Monty is all over the back of Stuart. That's all we really need to know now. And this is where he's much quicker than him through this corner here. But he's already right up the rear bumper, so he's going to have to back off a bit this time. And look how that's affected his run out of that corner now. So the bit where he's been strongest the last couple of laps, he hasn't got a run in this time. But perhaps this will work to his advantage now as they come out of the last corner and head onto the straight. How is he through this corner? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's alright. He's the match for Stuart, isn't he, at least? But he's not going to be close enough by the time to get to turn 1. And that's not a corner where you can dive into either, is it, Alex? So he's going to have to follow him here for another few corners, at least by the looks of it, unless Stuart makes an error here. But they're really battling away very hard, whilst still lapping faster than Delboy. So the fastest two drivers in the field, and they're pulling away from everyone else while battling. So it bodes well for these two, and it gives Monty a free run in essence at trying to get past.
Yeah, he's close. This is probably one of the main overtaking spots, and he's really setting himself up well for the next couple of corners, because he gets a slipstream going up the hill, which is ideal, because essentially Stu's pulling him along, but he's out the slipstream. He's letting Stu know he's there. He's having a look. He'd have to be very brave to try to take around here, because it's a slight break and a bit of a lift off. He might have lifted off a bit earlier, but yeah, you can see how it really affects him. He can't take the line and speed he usually wants, and he just drops back slightly. But brake a bit later, you'll gain that back nicely here. As Pixie in the pit.
Yes, Pixie in the yellow wasp-coloured car is in the pit lane, and he's going to be making a buzz back onto the circuit soon, hopefully. Yes, he is. He's coming back on, so it was a quick pit stop. He hasn't taken on any fuel or tyres, as we would not expect any cars. And yes, Alex, look, Monty, MC Momo, after trying to get past Stuart in the pit, on track for a while, he's now decided to pit and get past him in the pits instead. So certainly you can expect Stuart to be pitting this next lap. And let's see where Monty comes out. Is he going to have the clear air that he needs? It looks like it at the moment, because Welsh Taff is quite a bit further back. So on board now with Monty as he's exiting the pit lane, and he's going to have that clear air. So this is going to be also close now, isn't it, when Stuart comes out? So let's see how far behind Monty is when he comes up the pits. It's 20 seconds, 20.5 seconds, 21 seconds, 21.5 seconds, 22 seconds nearly. So yeah, Stuart is going to have to be... Yeah, he's going to have to be 20 or so seconds ahead, isn't he? It's 22 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, he's really going to have to put his foot down. He might think about pitting now, just because obviously he'll be slow out of the pit lane, so it could be a chance for him to just eke those seconds out, brake as late as you can. But Stu can be stubborn sometimes. He might want to just try and stay out and put loads of lap times down, which he does. Could even pit as late as possible.
Yeah, stubborn Stuart carries on, and as his nose dives down, braking hard for the first corner, I thought he was going to be diving into the pits, but he hasn't. So he's carrying on, like you said, stubborn Stuart, and coming now, he's seeing that four-wheel drift. He's quite good at the four-wheel drift, is Stu, actually, in fairness. You can see, we've seen that at Donington quite a lot, at the old hairpin, when some of the front-wheel drive cars even have four-wheel drift some of those cars. A bit like... what was his name? The 70s driver. Is it Ronnie Peterson? He used to do a lot of four-wheel drifting.
I think most of them did in those cars. That's how they got around the corner.
Yeah, that's a good point. Couldn't do it today in the aerodynamics. But anyway, these cars haven't got such strong aerodynamics. You can do that. And so let's have a look. The gap between Stuart and Monty, it is coming down, isn't it? There's no question about it. It's 21.8 seconds. There's not much between them, but it could prove absolutely pivotal when Stu pits, and that gap is certainly coming down, Alex. I can see it now, 21.8 now. Well, it's hovering around 22 seconds, but let's see what Stu does. Yeah, he's coming in the pits. Stuart's coming in the pits, fantastic, and really attacking. Look how fast he's coming in. Oh, you can really get disqualified if you do that. Straight to the sin bin if you're not careful. But he's gone into his pit box now as Pixie goes past on the straight. He's a lapped car, so it's not going to affect him. And here's Monty now coming around the last corner. Alex, talk us through this one.
Yeah, at the final bend, up to the crest. He'll know Stu's in the pits.
He's away from his pit box.
Yeah, Delboy's taking the lead now, but he's only just ahead and he hasn't pitted. This is going to be mighty close, because obviously Stu will be trying to get...
There he is!
Oh, it's going to be close. Stu does block him a bit, and Monty just drives around him, shows the momentum he had, and Monty timed that to perfection. I think if Stu pitted just that slight bit early, it might have been alright.
Oh dear, yes, and look at Stu now getting really ragged. He's really annoyed by that, isn't he? You can tell. I was actually quite surprised that he didn't pit the lap after. That's why we normally would have expected. I don't know why he left it 2 laps. But, this is Dan Holloway. So this is his huge... Is this the crash we saw earlier, or is this a different one?
No,
he certainly lost his bonnet in that one.
I think it's the big crash he had earlier in the race.
Yeah.
Lost the bonnet and just crossed the road.
Yeah, he's pretty much written that car off if it was an actual car, but it's not. It's just a virtual one, and he's in the gravel trap, and I don't know if he's still racing. You can see the 2 leaders in the background earlier, still battling away. They don't really care much about Dan Holloway's big incident, do they? Didn't stop to see if he was okay or anything. Just carried on. Typical racing drivers.
Yeah, it's all about the win. We see Del Boy up in front. He's closing in on. Is that Pixie? It might be Pixie. So, yeah, it shows how fast the front 3 are. They're lapping. They'll be lapping up to 5th place now. So it's pretty impressive, really. But you have to imagine Del Boy's going to try and stay out as long as possible, just stays in the lead and then come home in 3rd, as long as he doesn't make a mistake. But Monty and Stu will be chasing him down quite fast.
Yeah, Monty is, he's judged this to perfection, as we've seen in this championship a couple of times. They're very close, Stuart and Monty, on pace in this championship, it has to be said. But I think the difference is Monty, he's aggressive when it needs to be, isn't he, at the moment? And that's what's given him that slight edge over Stuart in this championship so far. And if Stuart doesn't finish ahead of Monty here today, of course, he's going to be back to 10 points behind him with a few rounds left to go. That's going to be really hard to make up when those 2 are finishing 1st and 2nd every weekend. You can only take 2 points off your rival. Have to rely on some external factors, maybe Del Boy having a cracker, maybe Alex Brown coming back and winning the race as well, getting in the mix, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Anything can happen, and for Stu to get this championship now, he'll have to either get the win here. Dan's gone to space. Or have one of the other guys in the field pull a win out and really help him close the gap. But at the moment, it's looking unlikely for him.
It is looking unlikely. Let's not forget, this is Mr. Lunge and Stubborn Stewart all in one. So we can't rule him out completely. And he is pretty good at defending, actually. It's just that he held back Monty for a good number of laps there, didn't he? And Monty just eventually gave up and thought, well, can't do it on track, I'll do it in the pits. And he did. So he's a couple of seconds ahead of Stu now, but they are lapping more or less the same. Stu, of course, lost a bit of time on that outlap for Monty, and Stu is just really ragged now, isn't he? He's absolutely trying everything he can, throwing caution to the wind to try and catch up. And what is it like, Alex, as a racing driver, when you're trying to catch the guy in front, but they've just got more pace than you at that circuit, but it's a few tenths a lap or something? How frustrating is it?
You just do what Stu's doing. He's trying everything he can. As Pixie gets out of the way of Delboy, that's nice of him. Quite very willingly getting out of the way. He's almost on the grass. But yeah, you just try everything to the point where you just make mistakes and it costs you more time, so then you get more frustrated. It's like being
vicious circle.
Yeah, it's just like being in a tug of war and your grip slowly losing.
Yeah, and it does look like he is losing grip on this race now, Stuart. So, but anyway, second, good haul of points. Not that he won second. He's got enough second place trophies, hasn't he? But I mean, he'd probably be second to Stuart today. But I think when Delboy pits, he should be well ahead of him. Delboy looks like he's going to come into a big gap on the circuit, a massive cavity between Stuart and Welsh Taff for a third place finish for Delboy. Assuming he doesn't make any mistakes. There's only a few laps left to go, of course. So we'll have to see what happens there. But Welsh Taff as well, he's all by himself pretty much. Pixie's all by himself. In fact, Alex, I gotta be honest, there's pretty much nothing going on right now, is there?
No, not action wise. It's more like hot lap. Oh, saying that, Delboy's a bit wide. He almost made something exciting happen. Yeah, the field's very split. It seems to be one of those tracks and car combinations where there's a big gulf in ability, let's say, whereas you've got Monty and Stu directly in front. We're saying that Welsh Taff put a cracking lap in that last one. It was Delboy pits. Compared to the midfield, and everyone's just sort of spread out. It's a shame, really. It looks like Dan's had to retire and go for a cuppa, as he was looking quite fast.
Yeah, it was quite exciting to see after Dan's incident in the first lap. It was quite exciting to see him come up and try and overtake Matt there. Obviously didn't quite work, but then he would have obviously been trying to catch up to Pixie as well. It wouldn't have been easy to get past Pixie either. So it would have been quite fun to see that, and who knows, maybe we would have caught Welsh Taff if he had enough pace. We've seen Dan have a lot of pace this championship, and royally running wide there is Welsh Taff, going onto the dirt and kicking up the grass, giving us a bit of entertainment. But yeah, I think for Dan there, championship-wise, Alex Brown as well, not in the mix today. He's not going to be too disappointed. Delboy and Welsh Taff up there in 3rd and 4th, which is where we see them quite a lot, isn't it? But it's not the end of the world for Dan today, even though he's DNF'd.
Yeah, and especially since he was fighting with Alex, and obviously Alex isn't even in the race, so Dan will still get, even if it is minimum points, he still gets some points. That's how Stu will have to look at this race, you'll have to say, because he's now 6 seconds behind Monty, so he was really holding Monty up in the early race. It just shows now, especially since Monty's half a second there. Let's Pixie test and limits on his car. Don't want to be doing that because there's a nasty tyre barriers. He's still on the grass in the background, but you can just see how smooth Monty is. He's hitting every apex, every brake zone perfectly, every exit just lovely. He's just really at one with his car and doesn't really have to do much, and now just bring it home.
Yeah, and of course we had a really close championship, didn't we, with the Ginetta G40 GT5 version of the G40 in the Xbox Championship with the Xbox drivers. It would be really interesting to see some of these drivers mix in with those ones and the Xbox group, wouldn't it? It's a shame we can't do that, because that'd be really good. That'd be really exciting.
Yeah, the only way to really see the comparison is say if you take Stu or Alex or Dan, who do race with the Xbox lot, and it really shows how it would show how competitive it is, because Xbox is doing GT3 currently. As Stu flashes thank you to Pixie get out of the way. But yeah, Stu's pretty competitive in the GT3. I think he won the last 2 races, I believe.
He won the latest one. I think it was he won the last one. I don't think he didn't win Bathurst, did he? But he won. He won. What was it? I can't remember what the last one was now. Watkins Glen.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
And he was second. No, he was top 6. So yeah, it really shows how fast some of the drivers are. But it would be good to get a good grid. As Welsh Taff's also been involved in the Xbox races, and he's been up there at times. So yeah, it would be a good mix.
Yeah, and of course we've had a couple of drivers in here too, which are near the top, which aren't present for this championship, such as we had Jonesy and Jason Cole as well. Two drivers from the karting world actually, who've been pretty quick, as Pixie decides that he's had enough of the grey stuff for one day, and he'll try out his car on the green stuff instead, and he seems to be enjoying it. Maybe he decides that he doesn't like the colour yellow anymore or something. He was trying to get his car a nice brown colour, some authentic rally dirt on it. I don't know. But he's really trying to see how much extra distance he can make up to this Foster circuit by not actually driving a different layout.
You're probably good. I know they use this bit for the rally track. It's you turn off right just where Matt is now. So you might be able to find that at some point. But Matt's really flying along now. He's on his own in 6, like I said. Still not as experienced as the other drivers, as it looks like Welsh Taff's coming through to lap him. But yeah, he's definitely improving his speed. He's really getting there.
Yeah, certainly. He's 2 seconds or so off Delboy's time on the last lap round. So it's not too bad, considering he was a few seconds off in qualifying. So yeah, he definitely is improving, and it's good to see, because Pixie, you have to take Pixie as a good example here. When he joined the championship, he was being lapped on a frequent basis, wasn't he? And although he's been lapped today, it's actually quite a rarity now to see him lapped. He has come on leaps and bounds, it has to be said. even though these aren't his favourite cars, this Ginetta's, he really has come on, hasn't he?
Yeah, especially in the last championship, the Nissan Challenge, he really took to that. It's different car, different Nissan every week, and it really showed how good he is to adapting in different cars. And he was up there, and towards the end of that, it was a really good championship for him.
Yeah, but talking about adapting to different cars and different circuits and still coming out on top, we have to give a mention to Monty Momo, who's on his last lap, quite possibly, or maybe the last but one. We'll have to wait and see. But we just have a lap counter in front of us. But yeah, Monty Momo leading the way for 6 seconds now ahead of Stewart. In the end, it's been dominant here from Monty after he passed Stewart in the pit stops. He's just never looked back, has he? And you can see him there using all the limits of the circuit, maybe some slight lag as well to exaggerate it. But anyway, he's going under the Oulton Park bridge there now. It looks like he's on a Sunday drive. There's no one else around him. Stewart is way behind in the distance, over 6 seconds behind, which is a long way behind in these cars. And he's exiting the last corner now, and Monty Momo comes up to the line, and is it going to be the last lap? I think it is, and he's going to take the win here to extend his championship lead over Stuart Davis, who's going to come home in second after another good battle with his rival there for the championship. And he's got a 10-point lead now in the championship, unless I'm very much mistaken. We'll have to see if my maths are right or not. But these two are just leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else at the moment in these cars in this championship, aren't they? Monty Momo and Stuart Davis. Del Boy coming home a distant third.
Yeah, he's got a final corner. He's good third place there. I think he's had a couple of bad runs as of late, so he'll be happy with that. As you can see, he's not quite crossed the line. Showmanship.
Is he going to reverse across?
I'm not sure.
What's he doing?
Oh, he's found reverse now. Oh, yeah, cross the line in reverse.
Well, you don't get any points for style, Del Boy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if he did, then he'd be the champion.
He's lucky. He's lucky he could actually find reverse. Otherwise, that could have been embarrassing.
Yeah, so Del Boy crosses the line third, Welsh Taff crosses the line fourth, Pixie and Matt in fifth and sixth, but lapped runners, and Dan Holloway, like we saw there in that rather spectacular crash, he wins the crash of the day competition. But today it was all about Monty Momo, another win. That's 4 wins, I think, out of 5 races. Stuart Davis obviously won the last one out at Monza, but Monty recovered in that one to second. So Monty's finished first and second in every single race. Absolutely fantastic performance once again. I think it's Stuart Davis now is on 38 points, Monty's on 48.
Yeah, you'd think Del Boy would have passed Alex Brown now for third, and possibly Welsh Taff as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really close actually between Alex Brown, Del Boy and Welsh Taff when those points are added up. Dan Holloway will also get another couple, but he's going to be losing touch a little bit with those two, so he's got some ground to make up. But the next round's going to be really interesting as well, hopefully. That race wasn't the most exciting one, certainly not as exciting as Monza, but you can never rule out an overtake or a crash or some sort of incident in these cars in this championship. So yes, join us next time to see what happens and if Monty extends his lead or if the others can catch up.